We are diving back into our case study series. Today, I'm going to be talking all about a girl named Danielle. She's a high achiever. She's an HR manager at a tech company, and she has a team that she has to manage, but she's also got so many big dreams for herself. She has so many thoughts going on in her head all the time about things that she wants to do for herself, for her life, for her team, for her family, and she has no idea how to make it all happen. She's got so many amazing things going for her, but there's this nagging in the back of her mind, like, why am I not executing on these dreams that I have? Why do I keep coming back to these same things that I really want to go after in my life, but I can't seem to bring myself there? And that's a big struggle that I see a lot of people who are high achievers have. They get to this point of conflict with themselves when they know how good they are at achieving. They know how much they can do for other people, but for some reason, when it comes to the things that they want for themselves, they don't actually execute. And it's not because you're not capable. It's likely because you're not valuing your own desires, your own priorities as high as you are other people. So we're going to get into all of the questions that I asked Danielle, and then we're going to get into practical steps that she or you can take if you are in a similar position to her in order to overcome this very frustrating situation that many of us find ourselves in. So if all of that sounds interesting to you, I hope you'll stick around and let's get into it. All right, so first I'm going to read Danielle's bio, how she describes herself. She's a 41-year-old HR manager at a tech company. She's high achieving, deeply empathetic, and is known as the reliable one at work and at home. She has 10 goals ranging from starting a side business, improving her health, and spending more quality time with her kids. But every week feels like she's falling short on all of them. She's always busy, but rarely feels like she's moving forward. She deeply craves a sense of progress, not just productivity. Danielle, I think every high achieving woman on the face of this earth has probably been in your shoes or in a very, very similar spot. So thank you so much for being vulnerable, for being willing to share your story and open up and give us the information so that if we identify with your story, all of the advice and the tips that I give today can also benefit so many other people. So thank you, Danielle, and let's get into some of these questions. The first one that I asked was, do you currently work? And if so, how many hours per week? She says, yes, I work full-time, about 45 to 50 hours most weeks. I manage a small HR team at a tech company, and even though I'm technically not on call, my brain never really shuts off from work. I'm the go-to person for everything, and I end up fielding work texts or questions even on weekends. So it definitely sounds like there needs to be some conversation around boundaries. And this is very common around high achievers because we want to be able to be there for everybody. We want to be able to solve the problems. We want to be able to help and to fix things. But unfortunately, as much as we want to be this go-to person and we want to be the one who knows everything and does everything, we need rest too. We need time to ourselves, for our families, for our personal lives, just as much as we need time dedicated to our work lives. We spend majority of our lives at work. It's really become so clear to me that it is not fair to us to think that we're not giving enough to work, that we have to respond if it's after work hours, or they must need us because they're emailing or texting or whatever, and so we have to make sure we're there for them. Like, you give most of your life to this. You spend most of the waking hours of your day on work. So it's not fair for you to sit there and say that you should be giving more when you give most of what you have already. There needs to be time and space for you to be off and completely shut down from your work life so that you can actually rest. Not resting, waiting for the other shoe to drop, waiting for the phone to ring, waiting for the ding to happen. That's not rest. That is anxiety. So we need to have specific times and days that you are available and times and days that you are not. So part of the work for you is going to be embracing setting boundaries. It is really hard to start setting boundaries when you haven't been setting them for a very long time. It can feel like you're being selfish. It can feel like you're cutting people off. It can feel like you are letting people down. But you have to understand that if you don't set the boundaries now, it's not going to end well on the back end. You're going to end up burning yourself completely out and you're not going to be available at all. So embracing the setting of boundaries is one. Communicating the boundaries to whoever needs to know these new boundaries is the second step of this. And then the third step is filling in the blank space where you would be needed. So if there is a situation where someone from HR really needs to be available on the weekends or on evenings, then having a plan for who is going to be available when, how can we fill in these blank areas where I'm now setting these boundaries, and then putting that plan into action. Okay, the next question I asked is, do you have a family? And if so, what is your family structure or dynamic? She says, yes, I'm married and we have 2 kids, one in middle school, one in elementary. My husband helps, but I'm still the default parent. I also check in on my mom regularly. She's independent but aging. I help her manage appointments, errands. It's a lot. Yeah. Having 2 very young children and also helping out with aging parents is super overwhelming. Without having a job, an entire team to manage, an entire company really to be responsible for, and then also being the default parent in the household. So the question that's coming up for me to ask you is, how much are you willing to let go of being the default parent? The reason I bring this up is because sometimes one of the scariest things for us as moms is not having control and not being in the know about every little detail of our children's lives. We feel like it is a requirement for us to know every single thing. And so giving someone else, like your husband, the responsibility of managing certain things can feel really difficult. One thing I encourage you to sit with is, how much control do you actually need to have over what's going on with the kids? How much of that do you feel comfortable allowing your husband to take the lead on? And then the other side of this conversation is your mom. So I would say delivery services, whether it's for prescriptions or for food, that would be really helpful in regard to running errands, just saving you time and effort and energy. And then also there are life aging experts out there, and they can come in and they can help with errands. They can help with doctor's appointments. They can help with administrative things, assistant like things for your aging parent, and they'll keep you in the know, they'll keep you updated. So highly recommend looking into something like that if that is something that is available for you financially. Don't be afraid to delegate, Danielle. Delegating Danielle. That's what we need to start calling you. That's what I need your identity to become. What can we hand off to other people? You've got an entire team. You've got a husband. You've got resources available to you, waiting for you to delegate to them, waiting for you to allow them to take the lead on certain things. You just have to release some of that control. And I know that's a lot easier said than done, but I think if you focus on empowering others to take the reins, take ownership and leadership in certain areas that have been weighing on you, then that's amazing. It's a win-win. Number 3, what other commitments do you have on a regular basis? She says, besides work and family, I serve on a DEI committee at work. I volunteer once a month at my church, and I'm the unofficial planner for everything from birthday parties to family trips. It's wild. I don't even know how I got appointed for all this, but here I am. This is what happens when we don't have clarity in our own lives for what we need to be prioritizing. We just say yes to everything and everyone because we're capable, but that does not mean that we should be available. So it is extremely important that if you are allowing other people to fill up your schedule so much so that you're looking around like, how did I even take all of this on? This isn't in my job description. Why can't anyone else handle this? This is taking up too much of my time. This is taking up too much of my energy. That is when you really need to get clear on what your priorities are. What are the things you're neglecting? What are the things that are draining your energy, not giving you energy? And then we need to figure out how to eliminate the energy drainers and add in the things that are going to bring you more fulfillment and happiness. Number 4, have you made any progress to the goal so far? She says, not really. I have a whole Notion board full of dreams and I keep starting, like I'll do a couple of days of journaling or meal prepping and then I get slammed and it falls off. I never know what to focus on first. I'm trying to do everything and it's just not working. I just want to feel like I'm moving forward on something consistently. So again, what I'm hearing here is a lack of clarity. You don't know exactly what you want to be working on right now. You're looking at your Notion board, you're adding things in and it's feeling exciting. You're kind of playing pretend goal setting where you put the goal down on paper, but you're not being selective about what you are working on right now and what the plan is to actually make that goal happen. So I'll be talking about this more in a minute when we get into your specific plan, but keep this in mind that when you're starting to feel really overwhelmed because you have so many things going on in life, because you have so many things that you want to get to, the question to ask isn't how can I fit all of this in? The question is how can I narrow my focus to one thing at a time? Number 5, if you had to guess, what would you say is the biggest hindrance in making time for your goal? Honestly, I don't know how to prioritize myself. Like it feels selfish to say this hour is just for me when there are fires to put out at work, at home, everywhere. And I also have this perfectionist streak. Like if I can't do it right, I just put it off, which means it never gets done. So the one thing I'm going to say to this, and I hope less is more in this scenario, if you never prioritize yourself, the only fire that is going to be left burning is how you feel about yourself and how you feel about your life. Those fires are going to be ablaze because you haven't put any effort, energy, or time into you. So just remember that when it feels like there's a ton of fires happening everywhere, there's also one that's burning inside of you that may feel like it's not out of control, it's manageable, I can get to it later, oh, it's just a few sparks. Have you ever seen a wildfire in California? Do you know how that starts? Do you know how rapidly it spreads? That is what happens when you continue to ignore your own desires, your goals, the things that fulfill you in life. Okay, so let's walk through a very sustainable strategy that Danielle or anyone else listening that has resonated with this so far can use to put in place if this feels like something you're struggling with. You need to know what your energy level is in this current season that you're in, right? So if it's summertime for you, do you have a lot of energy during the summer? Do you feel like this is a good time for you to tackle goals? Does it feel like you can take on 2 instead of 1? Do you feel like you have more time? Is it like a slower season at work or is it a super busy season? Because all of that factors into how much you should put on your plate, how much additional you should put on your plate. One of the things that Danielle was saying is that she has so many goals, she doesn't know which one to pick, and she's not taking action on any of them because she's got so much going on. We need to get clear on what is the 1-2 tops goals that we're going to focus on right now. The more you focus on at once, the less focus you're going to have, obviously. That sounds very simple, but it's a hard concept for us to grasp, especially when we're really excited about all of the changes that we want to make in our life. But it's really important for us to prioritize and focus on 1 to 2 things at a time tops, because the more you narrow your focus, the easier it will be to execute on that thing over and over again because you know exactly what to do. It doesn't feel overwhelming. It's a slow and easeful process, making that goal happen, taking action towards a new thing. You don't have to introduce 10 new habits at once. You don't have to work on 10 new projects at once. It's just so much easier on our nervous system, on our anxiety. It doesn't feel like we have to completely uproot our lives or completely uproot who we are just to get to the things that we want in life. And then we start to see these wins accumulate because we're actually taking consistent action. We're actually getting somewhere. Even if it's just with one goal, we start to see that we can do it. And that builds momentum. And then once you achieve that one goal, then you can move on to the next one and you start to see why it works if you make it more sustainable. So Danielle, you had a few of your goals listed as starting a side business, improving your health, spending more quality time with your kids. What is the first one that you would choose? What is the first one that is going to make such a big impact on your life that it will then empower you to keep going and keep accomplishing other things later? Looking at just those three, I would say improving health is going to be a very top priority, because the healthier you are, the more energy you're going to have to give to your kids, the more energy you're going to have to start a side business. So if I were going to prioritize those three, if it were me, that's probably the one that I would start with on a small level and focus on increasing energy and feeling my best. So define what your energy level is currently. Do you have a lot, medium size, none at all? And then depending on your energy level, you can choose 1 to 2 goals that you want to start working on. If you're like, no, I'm at low energy, I don't have anything to give, I don't want to add anything to my plate just yet, then your area of focus is to start delegating and eliminating things off of your current plate that you have. Focus there first, and then you'll have more mental and physical space for you to then bring in new goals, maybe in a couple months. And just remember that all of these steps that you're taking are contributing to your goal. It doesn't matter how small they are. Every single step, whether it's eliminating something, delegating something, or taking an action towards a specific goal, all of it is ultimately contributing to the goal itself. So don't ever feel like you're behind or you're taking steps back or like you're failing in some way. All of this is normal, and it's what everybody has to go through when they are ready to up level in their life. Okay, the next thing we need to do is brain dump everything you've got going on. You need to know what commitments you have, what projects you have going on, upcoming travel, and then all of the goals that you are wanting to currently do. And then we're going to start categorizing these into different spaces. Anything that is low level effort and makes a high impact on your life, that is going to become your to-do list for this week. Those are going to be the things that you knock out and get off of your plate so that you don't have to worry about those anymore. Anything that takes a high level of effort and has a high impact on your life, we are going to put in a category called delay. Delay doesn't mean we put it off way later. It just means it's going to get scheduled on our calendar. So anything you have identified as something that takes a high effort level and is also a high impact on your life, put those into their own category and then start to schedule when you're going to take action on those on your calendar. And then anything that is a high level of effort, low level of effort, but just has a low impact on your life, those are the things that we want to delegate or delete off of our plates completely. And if you want a guidebook for this process, I have a free link down below for my Overwhelm to Action Blueprint. I walk you through the brain dump, I walk you through the categorization. That is linked down below. It is free. All I need is your email, and that gets you the free download for not only the brain dump, the categorization, but also my 5-minute method. And then it gives you additional resources to keep the momentum going. It is amazing and it's free. So what do you have to lose? And then number 3, what I would do is to create a weekly check-in with yourself or somebody that you can do check-ins with. I like to do these on Friday afternoons or Sundays so that I can really think about my week. I look at my calendar, everything that I have going on. I look at my goals. I look at what I want to accomplish. I'm looking at the milestones that I have for these specific goals. And then I'm planning those into my week, scheduling things on my calendar, making time for myself. I am also filtering out anything that doesn't actually need to be there or isn't going to bring me any sense of fulfillment for my week. So if I committed to something like a birthday party and you know what, I'm just not feeling that this week, maybe I need to, cancel that, do it, go for it. If something doesn't feel like a yes, then let's get rid of it. And then when you are looking at your calendar, this may be difficult to do immediately, but as the next few weeks go on, I want you to try to intentionally start leaving more blank space on your calendar. This allows more flexibility. It allows you to flow between adding in goals, or if an emergency comes up, you have that flexibility in there. And then make sure that you are scheduling time to work on your goals on your calendar, whether that is a supportive habit that you are doing on a daily basis to continue working towards the goal, or if it's like a one-time thing that you need to do in order to accomplish the next milestone or to accomplish the goal, then we add that to our calendar so that we don't forget to do it. All right, everyone, that is what I have for us today. I hope that this was helpful, especially if you resonate with Danielle's story and some of her struggles. Don't forget to go grab the Overwhelm to Action Blueprint. And if you would like to participate in the case study and have me break down one of your goals or something that is feeling really difficult for you in your life right now, there is also a link below to submit a case study form. And then if you're chosen, you will be featured on a YouTube episode, and then I will send you an entire roadmap for how you can get to your specific goal. If you haven't already, please hit the like button and subscribe to stay along for the journey. I'm wishing you so much success on your week ahead, and until next time, take care.